Hey guys, if you like this content, I would greatly appreciate it if you guys like the video and subscribed to my channel. It helps make these videos worth it going forward. What's up guys, Altcoin Tripper here with a crypto market review. This is not financial advice. I am not an expert to your own research. Today I'm just going to review some altcoins mostly. I'll review Bitcoin and ETH and Sol and probably Hyperliquid just because they're the most popular coins and, you know, provide a better context for the broader market. But overall, just going to mostly review some shitcoins. So this is BTC USD on the 1 day on the Coinbase chart. I think that, you know, if you zoom out, you look at the weekly, I mean, overall, this is still like a fine chart. Like, you know, we're still bullish. I don't think that we necessarily have to start calling, you know, bear at any time soon. Higher time frame, it still looks okay. You know, we're not. It's a pretty neutral chart in my opinion. Like, you know, we're still higher highs, higher lows across the board. Last low was set in that multi-week period back in March, and now obviously pulling back. But I don't think that you could necessarily say it's like quote unquote over yet. Still a lot of levels to break. Bitcoin's still above 100K. I mean, yeah, it's still okay. If you look down on lower time frame charts, this is like the 4 hour. I don't think we're bad yet. And the reason I say that is that because generally speaking, when you see these types of consolidation patterns, the consolidation pattern usually starts after a big move. It could be an up move or a down move. So if it's a down move, you're going to see like a big liquidation event, and then you'll see the range get set within the first few candles. This also works on the flip side in a bearish chart, or I'm sorry, bullish chart, where the range also gets set within the first few candles in that regard. Now, when you see a ranging consolidation period on both ends, you know, either to the downside or the upside, you're going to see these. You're going to see price wick and deviate from this range on both ends. So what I mean by that is that when you see, you know, a range get set at the bottom after a big move, you're going to see that low get taken out eventually, and you're going to see that high get taken out eventually, but it's mostly going to be in balance. It's going to be within this range for a long time, you know, generally speaking, until there's some sort of big move, you know, to the upside or downside, depending on what you want, or depending on the context, depending on the chart, etc. So, you know, what did we see as an example here of November 2024? Obviously, this was like the big election move. You know, you saw like some of these big move up. You can actually generally see it with the high volatility. You can see where the ranges almost kind of get set. This kind of wick high on December 5th and the wick low, usually you see like a big move, and that's usually how you set the range. This is like how ranges are generally formed. So why I'm not so scared right now, and this is really just the range formed back in December. You know, we did see some deviations on the low, deviations on the high, and but we eventually saw ranging, and then price broke down here. Now, as I said, ranges get formed after big moves to the upside or downside. What happened here? I remember this big move back in February, huge move up, huge move down. What happened? Saw this range wick low. This was the bottom part of the range. There wasn't really too much of a range high set because this price action was so volatile, but you can see deviations below there. Again, longer range set in March of 2024. Big move up from, you know, 40K all the way up to 70K. Where there weren't too many deviations from this range, and obviously range highs, range lows, they're very subjective. You know, you could even set it right here. This was a crazy daily candle here, set in March 5th. High, low, crazy deviation on both ends. Not deviations, like big moves, big volatility. This is what kind of set the range. You can see it. And as I said, usually you can see it in one candle that sets the range. You know, it might go like this, big Darth Maul, and that's when the high and low is set. And this is what you can see as well, where you can see deviations on the low end, deviations on the high end. But there wasn't really a true breakout until, you know, November, where we saw this like little fake out, and then finally time to actually go and move up. So how does this relate to now? And I'm already spending more time than I was expecting on Bitcoin, but oh well. You saw this low here set. This high, I don't know if you want to really call it, you know, a wick high. There was a lot of volatility on that May 12th area, and you can maybe say this was like a deviation, but in my opinion, maybe not the best way to contextualize it. I don't know where you'd actually set the high, but the low is pretty set, in my opinion. You can already see a reaction here, and you saw a reaction here. Now, for now, price is still above that area, the wick low at 100K-ish. As long as we kind of remain above this area, I think we're okay. And the real juice is where you actually get to see on lower time frames, where, you know, it's actually quite common for price to get close to those lows again, maybe 99K. And then you're going to either see price action get near those areas. It might take out the low. You really want to see a fast reaction, though. You don't want to see price hanging out. If you see price chopping around like this, it's probably going to leg down. Or like a weak bounce, and then, you know, we're going to see it go low again. But, you know, where you see price kind of interact with this 99K region, that's really the next area. I'm still high time frame bullish. I'm going to start moving on. I'm talking too much on Bitcoin. Yeah. I'm still high time frame bullish, but watch the reaction around 99K. Anyways, this is the ETH chart. I was of the opinion that this was bullish. I thought Bitcoin was going to make the next leg up. It clearly didn't. ETH clearly broke below that low. Didn't have the same strength. And if you really look at the ETH BTC chart, it's ugly. You know, it is farther down. ETH is just not a good asset overall right now. As much as everyone would love to see Bitcoin dominance go down and ETH, you know, really succeed, it just hasn't happened. As of right now, it looks like it's going to head back down. I don't know where the next area of support is. Maybe this support area right here, and like the 1800s. I don't know. There's going to be more, and you can actually probably fib it out too. Take the high and low. You can see it actually bounce right off the 0.5 fib, but to be determined if that's actually going to, you know, be support for a long time. I don't actually know. It actually lost the 200-day EMA, which is kind of, I mean, it briefly traded above it, but yeah, it doesn't look great. I mean, if you want to see it form a bottom, it would be something like this, and then go higher. In my opinion, that's what it would look like. But to be determined, you know, in that regard. Solana, not looking great as well, as I said. You know, again, I thought Bitcoin would kind of go higher, but it clearly didn't. So Solana also did not follow. Clearly following ETH. You know, I have had the opinion that Sol BTC is going to be mostly down and follow the ETH chart. Sol and ETH will have blips going forward where they do have small spikes, but ultimately the high time frame chart will still be down only. So, you know, there are going to be spurts where Sol and ETH both outperform Bitcoin, but higher time frames, you don't want to hold those over Bitcoin, in my opinion. If you're not trading, you're just holding, I would just hold Bitcoin, to be frank and honest with you. I don't know. I have a hard time seeing them truly outperform for long periods of time, but I don't know, maybe just bias in that regard. As it stands, I don't know where this support is going to be. It's going to go as Bitcoin goes, in my opinion. It's already retraced, much of the gains it had in April to May, where it went from 100 to 180, almost 189, 190. Already pulled back a lot. So at this point, maybe if you're Hopium, you assume this low will hold. It does have a very clean level. So, this level is going to be support still. But would just, take it slow. Wouldn't really look to actively trade this very much. Hype still one of the best coins overall. I did buy some actually at the lows at 32. I sold some of it already at I think 35 or something like that, or mid 34s. I don't know, but that portion was scalped. But I did buy some already. I still think it's a good coin. Obviously, I think it's still strong. I think a really good bid would be around 27. That would be an area that you'd really want to look for, in my opinion. So yeah, for now, I'm just kind of staying chill on hype, but I do believe the 27 would be an area to buy the fucking dip with size, and that's kind of what I'm planning to do personally. I'm just gonna skip hype, or I'm sorry, ENA. FARTCOIN, still have a spot bag of this. I do believe 75 cents is the area that I'm personally viewing. It's the 0.618 fib. There's still a lot of support, from an SR level, and still would view that 78 cents to 75 cents region as an area that you want to really buy up, in my opinion. Similar to the 0.5 fib where it chopped around here back in June and then had a strong move up to 160. It did print a lower high, which is concerning, and the selling has been somewhat consistent. So it wouldn't surprise me at all to see something like this. And then after that, I have no idea. It is arguably in a bearish market structure now after that lower high. Still think it's a good meme, but we're about to see how strong it really is. Grass. This was a coin on my list before. Had some really good shillers. Has a really good product, but just not. I thought it was going to do better in the short term. Really hasn't performed great. Is at a support level region, but it does look like that the lows at 90 cents are going to come next. And this has been slow, efficient selling. So what I mean by slow, efficient selling is that they're slowly grinding down. If you look at the StarkNet chart, that's kind of a good example of it. Whereas aggressive imbalance selling would be boom, big liquidation. And then, these are usually better trading opportunities than this. But as it stands, grass just isn't a bid anywhere. Maybe at 90 cents, you can consider it. SQD, it is pulling back. It is at some key fib regions. Would be careful on it. It looks a little bit like a weird chart, but I do believe there's going to be some support coming up. 200-day EMA right around here. 0.122, that is the area that you'd want to view, I think, as a dip area. But there is larger support around 0.78. There should be a bounce around here, I'd assume, but this is a hard chart to really, kind of tell what's going on just because the price action is so inorganic, in my opinion. But this is listed everywhere, so pretty good liquidity and all that. IOTA, I reviewed this on the last one. It looks like it's just going back within this green box. This green box is pretty consistent in regards to, and it looks like I filmed several weeks ago. This green box is consistent in terms of areas of support. You can see good reactions back in March 2020. Good reactions again in November 2023, and again in October 2024. But it looks like it's just chilling out. I'd expect it to consolidate and range in this current region, and consolidate a little bit more. I can see actually a world where this does pretty well if Dino coins pick up again. So, you look at the H bars of the world, or the IOTAs, or kind of these older coins that have been around for a really long time. Those would be interesting candidates, in my opinion, if that kind of narrative comes back, if Bitcoin does well. BONK, I was very surprised that BONK didn't chill more at the 618 fib. It has pulled back quite a bit. I still do have a small bag of BONK myself. It doesn't look like there's really any support, and there hasn't been any support in a while. I do think it's at an interesting level. In my opinion, it's going to do something like this, where it goes back to the lows, chops, and then we have a good late Q3, early Q4 move, in my opinion. It is about to enter like a pretty strong support region, in my opinion. So, but I wouldn't actively trade this personally. This one was really disappointing to me. I thought that it was going to hit, this low again and really rebound, but it's just not been that at all. I thought it was ranging for like 3 months, 3.5 months, and going to do well with Bitcoin. It really hasn't. I was horrifically wrong on this one. I thought it was going to hit the range lows and go higher, but yeah, this one broke below range lows. Who knows where it's going to settle at? I don't know. It's really hard to say, but not a buy, in my opinion. CRV, I'll review 2 CRVs actually. It looks like my chart was pretty messy, but it looks like I was had the same idea. The stairs up price action is bizarre. It usually doesn't result in a good follow-up. You don't generally want to see this type of price action. Usually it's very scammy. It's like some weird TWAP going on or something. I don't know. But as it stands, CRV is still a very good project, but pulling back now. Clear SR level back before, and yeah, it just looks like it's going back to like 40 cents or lower, potentially. Nobody, I don't know what this coin is. It looks strong. It looks like I thought it was going to go even higher, but it clearly didn't. It topped out. And you can see how you can actually identify this. It's actually hard to tell during real, while it's happening. But when you see these types of wicks and they're failing and there's a lot of effort to push it higher, you can tell sellers are really, absorbing a lot of these buys, and you can see these wicks, and that's usually a good time to get out, because there's a lot of effort exerted back in, June 8th, given this volume, but it didn't really amount to anything. You can see these poor closes, and when you see these poor closes, it's usually pretty bearish. And on the flip side, if you see a lot of candles on the opposite end, if you see like price continually wicking, below and price holding, that can oftentimes be bullish for the opposite reasons. As it stands, I mean, it looks like nobody is going lower. No shit, but 014 or something like that, maybe. Pengu again, and I have a small bag of this. It looks like there's some slow efficient selling. Same concept as before. Slow grind down. The next support region would be this 006 region here. I still like what they're doing long term. I still have a long term bag of it, but it just I thought the 618 area would give a bigger bounce, but this is what the best that you got. It was still a 30% move or whatever. Not bad, but it does look like it's headed lower. It is a bearish market structure for now, but if looking to kind of buy in this one, I would probably consider this 006 region. That seems like a good kind of area to look for. Useless is a great coin. 90 cents. BONK guy is really shilling it hard. He's putting in work. I think it looks strong for the most part. It's held out fairly well given the market volatility, but given the fact that it's at 100 billion market cap, means that it's going to operate more like, like a typical altcoin. It's not going to like operate like an on-chain shitcoin. Um, so as Bitcoin goes down, then obviously this one will probably go down. It did show good strength over the last few days given the volatility, but this isn't really the type of chart I like to buy personally. If you were interested in this type of chart, where's a good entry? I would probably just throw a fib out over the entire thing, to be frank and honest with you. This is like kind of a setup that I generally like. I wouldn't start buying to like the 0.62 region. That's an area that I like view as pretty good. Would definitely just stay patient. I'll actually probably set some alerts on this, if I'm being honest. Yeah, just going to do that. So if useless comes lower, I'll know. CRV BTC. Sorry, I noticed I did review both. CRV BTC is approaching support. Like, would consider buying around this 462 Satoshi area. Still bearish, overall chart. Most all BTC charts look like this, to be frank and honest with you. And this is actually the argument for kind of why you trade altcoins. You don't ever want to hold altcoins. You never want to hold altcoins because of this. Like, if you zoom out, it's just really ugly chart. It's just down only. Very few altcoins ever outperform Bitcoin, but you do get periods of this where they do pretty well. As it stands now, just not really not great chart, honestly. Maybe a bounce around here though. Litecoin did have this charted before. Doesn't look great. This one kind of moves on its own. It's a weird chart. Maybe would buy it around like 65, 70 maybe. It falls into the Dinos coin category though. VeChain also falls within that same IOTA HBAR kind of Litecoin category. It's really chopped around the same region for the last like several years. There's been really no big moves in either direction. Probably never will, to be frank and honest with you. And this is one of the reasons why people always talk about like older coins not doing great, lose mind share. Just never going to really hit these all-time highs. Like, price is now at almost, basically 2 cents, but before at the all-time highs, it's pretty, almost up to 30 cents. Like pretty hard to get back up there. Highly unlikely it does. So, the simple fact is that most altcoins are going to look like this on higher time frame charts. As it stands, maybe you buy around 0.15, maybe range low. This current area is a low though. I want to highlight that. So, you could take a swing now if you want, but definitely not really a coin you want to hold or really trade, in my opinion. Tia, I mean, I've shadowed over this coin so much over the past few years, to be frank. Not years, but just like past few months. It's just impossible to break inflation. Insiders selling millions and millions of dollars, staking rewards, plus allocation. There's just so much supply coming on the market. This has 6 straight weekly candles down. Even it's just not a good coin to hold, in my opinion. Clearly broke below all-time lows. This one's going sub-dollar. XRP is a dinosaur coin, but not in the sense that it's not in the same dino coin category. In my opinion, it's better than HBAR or whatever. Still think it looks okay, but not really a great active trade. More you just buy it and hope that this low at $1.90 holds. Chop chop chop. Possible that it goes around here to this 160 area. But yeah, it's a weird coin, not really great. Nobody already reviewed that. Looks like shit. Mantle, I think, is a good coin fundamentally. It is near this support region around 55 cents, but the problem is just that ETH sucks. So any ETH beta is going to get fucked along with, Mantle's in that category, unfortunately. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, maybe it just chops around like this, but overall, like, yeah, it's a good area, like around here, to maybe just buy and hold. But I don't know, like, you have to really assume that ETH is going to do better. Finally, SPX. I took a swing at this 382 fib and lost money, and this doesn't look like it's ending anytime soon. I'm gonna take another swing around 83 cents though. 618 fib, usually a good spot. I'm also not sure about what's going on with the Murad selling. I think he said he's going to sell in like Q4 or something. So, giving ample heads up time to like people to get the fuck out of the bags. And, it clearly hasn't had a great rebound performance. It was a clear outperformer back in April, May, and even parts of June. But, yeah, doesn't look great right now. So, I will be taking a swing, though, at 82 cents. So, let's see how that goes. Anyways, guys, thanks so much for the comments and the chart requests and the support. Cheers.